And welcome back to Zanpakuto Creation Videos. Today, in the Zanpakuto Creation Video series, we have from Jonathan Lockhart the question of what is the Zanpakuto of Creepypasta's own Jeff the Killer? God, the fact that's going to be my thumbnail will be haunting. To be fair, to be honest, a Creepypasta doesn't actually creep me out. I mean, don't get me wrong. To most people, that would probably be somewhat of a disturbing image. To me, it's just kind of, I've seen worse. Sorry, I'm drinking tea too, so if you hear a pause like that, that's me drinking tea. That's the thing. I've seen so many horror movies in my life at this point, and seen so much in my life, that this shit is like, yeah, maybe if I were 10, 15 years younger, I might find that a bit creepier, but now it's like, sure. I mean, like, if I met this guy in real life, like, okay, yeah, this is a little unsettling. If he tried to kill me, that'd be a problem. But, you know, what is what is. But he is an adolescent serial killer. His story basically is he was burnt alive by some bullies, but he was apparently quite a fairly antisocial teenager beforehand and went insane after seeing his new face. Shortly after this, he became torturous, aggressive, bloodthirsty, and violent, making him one of the most dangerous serial killers in his hometown. There was more than one. Jeff is widely known for luring his victims to an eternal slumber using a kitchen knife, an eerie but soft tone of voice. Even though he prefers to murder his victims with knives, he is more than willing to use any weapon that's at his disposal. He's extremely stealthy, mischievous individual, able to break into victims' houses almost always without getting himself caught in the act. Despite being an average human, he does have wields some supernatural abilities that only apply to his human attributes, such as incredible stealth, speed, supernatural strength, merciless slaughtering of his victims. He's incredibly durable, able to overcome his parents and brothers simply by gutting them. That sentence doesn't quite add, because I'm reading this verbatim off the wiki here, but that sentence doesn't quite add up. Jeff is shown to be incredibly durable. Durability would be, the amount of damage you can take and keep going. Being able to overcome his parents and brother, so were they coming at him? Okay, simply by gutting them. I don't know who wrote that, but that is not... If the scenario they were describing did show off his durability, they are not describing that scenario properly, because that doesn't really show durability. That shows ingenuity by basically saying, hey, we were trying to hold him back. Okay, fine, I just gutted you real quick, and there you go. That's not that's sorry to say, whoever wrote that for this wiki, that's not a indication of durability. Sorry. One thing that makes him stronger is his intense hatred and bloodlust, and that keeps him going, as well as giving him great stamina. In recent years, Jeff has been depicted as being a charming individual, manipulating people and trusting him, only to betray them later. So what does the Zanpakuto of this guy look like? Well, you can already tell this is probably going to be a more brutal Zanpakuto, something that is derived very much... It's the Zanpakuto of a killer, let's be very clear. Because, well, other Zanpakuto that we see... I mean, all Shinigami are killers on some level. In fact, the original 13 Courtyard Squad were just described as a band of murderers and thugs, basically. But, obviously, like, you look at someone like Byakuya Yakuchi, obviously he kills. Sure, he kills hollows, and if he had to, he'd kill a Shinigami, but he's a noble. He's got a refined, attitude to him. What you would be looking at closer here is someone like Yajiro Unohana, who was very much just a bloodthirsty killer who loved battle. Kenpachi, who loves battle. Mayuri Kurotsuchi, who's a sadist and a scientist. But the thing is, none of them are killers for the sake of killing. They all have a reason for killing. This is a guy who just likes to kill. So, what type of blade would this be? Well, I do actually think it would be a Kido type blade. It would have a Kido type ability, and its sealed form would still be a katana. I just believe that would be the case. Now, its release, I think, would actually be something very kind of creepy. And the release I came up for it was, be careful. And the release in the Shikai and Bankai's name, in order, the Shikai would be Phantom Touch, and then Blind Phantom's Touch. Now, the spirit of this would be very interesting. I liken the spirit as to something definitely humanoid, but not inhuman. I'm going to move his picture down here so we are not taking up so much room. I'm going to shrink it down so the image can be a little bit more present here. I see it as kind of like this big humanoid insect, and one image or design that works really well for me is you son of a, go over there. Yeah, the Judas breed from Mimic, but not Benicio del Toro. Yeah, no, not Benicio del Toro. Guillermo del Toro. If you have never seen the original Mimic, the second two are not as good, or the second and the third one aren't as good. But the first Mimic, that's a horror movie monster classic right there. The first Mimic. The first Mimic is a pretty good movie. That's an underrated gem right there. But yeah, I imagine this is basically kind of a humanoid insect blade for arm kind of thing, and it makes sense. Insects are very primal in their drives. They are very there's little to no emotion. They don't have really empathy or anything like that. They are just the instincts to hunt, kill, mate. That's it. And poop. Hunt, kill, mate, poop. That's all you do. And the Judas breeds were just giant man-sized versions of that. So I do think that is a very decent descriptor of what his Shikai or what his Zanpakuto spirit would look like. In terms of what his Shikai would look like, what I imagine, and I've seen knives that look like this. I couldn't find an exact picture. This one comes to us from Amazon. Is basically a hunting knife, but not a hunting knife in the traditional sense like a Bowie knife, but more like a carving knife. And this is the kind of the closest I could. It'd be a bit more curved. It'd be a bit thinner. So I can't, and unfortunately I don't have my mouse here to really illustrate the point, but if you see the blade here, imagine this blade, but it's got a bit more of a curve to it, it's a bit thinner. And I've seen blades like it. I couldn't find a proper image for it. But yes, it would basically be like a carving hunting knife with a very, very pronounced tip to it. Now, what exactly would the Shikai ability of this be? Should note also, by the way, I forgot to say what the Japanese names of these are. Reminder, I get this off of Google Translate, so if the name doesn't really work, then I apologize, it's the best I have to go with. But Phantom Touch translates into Phantomatachi, and then the Bankai's name would be Burando. Phantomatachi. Brando, Phantomatachi. And I can see him whispering it too. It's like, be careful, Phantomatachi. Because he's said to have a very soft-spoken voice. But what the Shikai's actually ability is it's actually a very basic ability, but when you put it in the hands of a serial killer who just wants to kill, it is a very dangerous ability. Basically, the knife can just phase. That's what it does. It phases through, it can just become intangible, phase through objects, not cut those objects or whatever. Now, you might not think that's a very dangerous ability in and of itself. In fact, you might think that's not a very useful ability. It's not very useful in combat per se or anything like that. Because, if you go intangible, you're not going to be able to block anything. Except in the hands of a serial killer who can toy with people, knows how to toy with people, that becomes very dangerous because you think you're about to be cut, you block, he just phases through there and then, rephases and hits you. Or he phases a knife into you, and if you're too durable, like say if you were going up against the Espada number 5, Niratoro, who had extremely hard hero, if he went up against him, phased into his hero, which he couldn't cut naturally, he could just make the blade tangible again, make it solid, and be right inside of him again. So it's actually a pretty dangerous ability, and I think it works for someone like Jeff the Killer because it is something where it's got the objective of stealth, but it can also be extremely brutal if he times it right. And obviously, this being his own blade, he know how to time it right. If he's somehow deadlocked in a blade lock with someone, he could phase the blade through, just avoid it, and then come in and slash him on the chest or something like that. It's actually a blade that if you were to go head-to-head with it, you have to be very mindful about how you're going toe-to-toe with this blade. But then that asks the question of what the Bankai is. The Bankai, basically, is that Jeff basically strikes the ground, and a larger, not very large, but like maybe a blade that's maybe twice the length of the Shikai, comes out for wherever basically the user wants it to come out from. So more or less, as long as there's a solid surface nearby, Jeff can basically make the blade come out wherever he wants by stabbing the ground. And it's basically, think what happened, surprisingly, this is a good example, of what happened in Ichigo's battle with Yuach as the fight went on. He had laid traps all over the place for Ichigo, so when Ichigo stepped on something, it actually ended up stabbing his foot. Or think about Kageone, one of the games that Shunsui has with Katen Kyotsu, where he stabs the ground, the blade comes out. Basically it's Kageone. That's exactly what the game is, except the blade can still be intangible thanks to the basic Shikai ability, so he can still fake out his opponent and mess with him. But as I said, the big weakness of this Bankai, and it really is the Bankai that has the weakness more so than the Shikai. The Shikai admittedly has no long-range abilities. That'd be an innate weakness of this Zanpakuto, no doubt. But the weakness of the Bankai simply is if they don't have any solid surfaces around, this Bankai is completely useless. Like if Jeff the Killer were somehow in fake Kurakura Town, whatever side he'd be fighting on, most likely Aizen's, his Bankai would be completely useless in the fake Kurakura Town fight because hardly anyone was up against solid surfaces for any amount of time. They were mostly fighting in midair. So yeah, also, I mean, it's not the most physically powerful Zanpakuto either. It is of a Zanpakuto more of, despite his burning hatred and all that, and his psychology, it is a Zanpakuto more of finesse, but added into the hands of a brutal serial killer, it becomes a Zanpakuto of a lot of danger as well. So that, for me, is what I think. And let's just move Jeff here front and center once again. Let's get his picture nice and big here, and you can get a big old smile for Jeff. Look at that big old... Doesn't that guy look appealing? Wouldn't you want to sit down and have brunch with him? I know I wouldn't. Then it turns out, watch this guy actually be let this face be of someone who's real. I know it's not. Of real. It turns out they're a very sweet person. Like, yeah, they used it for Jeff the Killer. I never wanted to be like that. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. But anyway, yeah, that's the Zanpakuto, in my opinion, for Jeff the Killer. But that is just my opinion on the Zanpakuto of Jeff the Killer. Obviously, given these kind of series, there is no definitive answer. These are just strictly... Let's just shrink that down a bit more. These are just strictly my opinion. What would you make Jeff the Killer's Zanpakuto be like? Do you agree with my choice? Do you not agree with my choice? Put in the comments below. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you folks later tonight. I've got a review for Cop Shop. Oh, excuse me. Got hiccups. I got a review for Cop Shop later tonight. Tomorrow will be a Who Would Win and Cry Macho. I don't know why I'm putting an emphasis on the cry part. It's just Cry Macho. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you folks later.